Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a question here. I thought this was kind of an interesting one coming from a youngin named James, and he's got a question basically which amounts to risk-taking. So I love risk-taking questions here. So James says, "Hi John, I love your work and I've even asked you a couple questions in the past and now I'm back with another." It's funny, some of the people that are the best question askers, I end up answering a lot of their questions. I get a lot of questions, but there's like a few people that stand out that I'm like, every time they send me an email, I'm like, I got to answer this question because it's good. Maybe it's how they structure the email too. Anyway, he says, I'm in a position to take on a freelancing project that would last me about a year. The pay for this project over the course of the year will be a bit over 3 years of my current salary, which is currently around the national average for software devs. Okay, so I'm gonna park this for a second. We're gonna come back to this about what that means in freelance terms. I've actually written a chapter in my book. I've got a new book that I guess you can sign up for it here. Anyway, you can sign up to get the book for free. The chapter is doled out to you for free because I'm publishing them on my blog. But I've got a chapter that specifically is going to give you the breakdown of salary versus contract and show you the full math on this. So this is something interesting. I'll talk about this briefly. Anyway, he says, so he's 3 times what his current salary is, right? This is something I've been moonlighting on the side along with my regular job. The freelancing project is definitely big, but it's also extremely similar to a web application I've been working on in the past, so there's a really big element of familiarity coming with this project. My wife has worked with this client in the past, so we also know their business strategy well. So this is good, it's solid. Without rambling on for a long time, I'm wondering what you would do if you were in your late 20s, okay, so not so young. Would you take on a year-long project with huge monetary benefit, even knowing you'll get many sleepless nights? Would you quit your main job to do this? What other things would you consider before taking such a task? I do love my current employer, but my ultimate goal would be to have my own consultancy. So I'm looking at this as the first step towards that. Thanks for your time and keep up the amazing advice, James. All right, James, so there's a few things to consider. First of all, let's go back and let's talk about the salary difference. So if a freelancing job is 3 times your current salary, it's not really 3x, right? And when you add up the sort of costs and the fees that are involved, your employer is paying a lot of extra costs beyond your salary. There's benefits, there's vacation, hours worked, they're basically, again, I'm not going to go through all the numbers here. If you are interested, I don't know if the chapter's come, by the time you're watching this video, the chapter will probably have come out, but sign up for my new book on Complete Software Developer's Career Guide, and you can find it. I forget what chapter, it's like maybe chapter 11 or 12, where I talk about salary, and I compare those, and it'll show you the numbers. But essentially, you got to factor in a lot of things to figure this out. But rule of thumb, if you're getting paid 3x what your current salary is, it's probably more equal to like maybe 2x at the most, but probably more like 1.5, to be honest with you. It depends on how much it is, and there's a lot of factors involved, but don't assume that it's 3x. So at the very worst, or very best, assume that it's 2x, okay? That's still big, that's still good, and I'm still gonna give you this advice here. So you're in your late 20s, that does change influence, and you do have a wife. So if your dream is to start your own consultancy, there's 2 reasons why I would do this. One, this is a shitload of money, right? I mean, if you can make 2 years pay in one, that's pretty dang good. That's worth taking a large risk, because that means that you could basically go unemployed for 6 months looking for another job, and you would still come out 6 months worth of pay ahead. For those of you that are following, does that make sense, right? Plus, you're going to get a lot of experience, and then there's going to be a lot of opportunities. This could launch you into your consultancy. It can also teach you that you do not want to be a freelancer and consultant, which is worth spending a year to find out, because this may suck. You may not like this. It would be good to find out now and then go and get another job. So I highly recommend that you do this. It sounds like a stretch for you, a growing experience, in your career. you should try to generally move up salary wise, do things that make you more money and are difficult for you, that are going to grow you in some way. And this fits both of those criteria. Now, you need to make sure that your wife is on board, obviously, because if you're going to be doing sleepless long nights for a year, you don't want, and the main reason why is not that you can't make your own decisions. I encourage you, everyone has to make their own decisions in life, but you do not want that to be a time bomb that blows you up, because all of a sudden you're not able to focus on your work because you're going through all these marital disputes and fights. That is something I would prepare for, because you don't want to mess that up. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot, right? Just like do the job, take the job, do a good job. I guess I would do one other thing, which is I would sit down for an hour and I would just envision what my life is going to be like when I make this transition. And this is just a good practice to do before you make any kind of major life decision or do any kind of big thing. And not enough people do this. I don't understand why. Just play it forward. Just think about what is life going to look like 1 week, 2 weeks, 2 months, 4 months down the road when you take this path. And sometimes it'll stop you from making decisions, but even if it doesn't stop you, it'll prepare you so you know what to expect, so you're not going to be sideswiped and blinded by something that obvious that you could have foreseen, right? Most of the time we can kind of predict things, and a lot of times it'll save us from making stupid decisions. So anyway, I'm all for this. I think this is a good idea. I think it makes sense. It seems like there's not much to lose here, right? So, and you've got the other factor that really is influencing me to say this, to give you this advice, is the fact that your wife worked for the client in the past, and so she's gotten paid from them, obviously, so you know that this is legitimate, right? That's the only thing. Like, if you didn't tell me that, I'd be like, do you really know they're going to pay? I mean, they're going to pay you 3x. Like, do you know that they're going to pay? Do you know that you're going to quit your job, and then you're also moonlighting for them, so you know already. So yeah, this seems like a good idea. There's one last thing I'll caution you on. Consulting for one client and only one client for a year, a consultancy does not make. And what I mean by that is, maybe you can follow on and have this client, but you're still going to be a far stretch from being able to pull other clients. Like, while you're doing this, you better start doing that. This is your chance. So you're going to have another job, which is going to be to figure out how to get your next job, right? And someone was, I just heard this recently, someone said, as soon as I get a job, I am working on my next job. I thought that was interesting. It was in that book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Succeed in Life, or Win in Life, or whatever, by Scott Adams. He was talking about some boss of his that told him, or the CEO that he sat next to on a plane. Anyway, just do that. Make sure that if you're going to do this, that you don't just do this year contract and then you're like, well, now what? Now I should start my business. No, you got to start doing this ahead of time. Figure it's going to take you 6 months to line up your next client and start working on it then, right? So anyway, good luck, James. If you've got a question for me, you can email me, of course, at john@simpleprogrammer.com. I've put together like this Trello board and form, so when you email me, I will probably respond with a form letter that says, hey, go click here and fill this out. This way I can get kind of shorter questions and make this process more efficient. I'm always trying to make the process more efficient. So anyway, check that out. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead, click the big subscribe button below, wherever you like, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.